Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the West Virginia Natural Resources Commission meeting, which is now called to order at 6 p.m. on this 30th day of July 2026. Thank you all for joining us. This meeting will follow the posted agenda in accordance with the Open Meeting Act. To support statewide participation, we're meeting simultaneously across 6 physical locations that are connected via Zoom and via live stream on the Department of Commerce's YouTube channel for public viewing. To ensure a smooth meeting, please remember the following etiquette to keep in mind. Please stay muted when not speaking and avoid off-camera side conversations. Commissioners, be sure to raise your hand to get my attention so I can recognize you before speaking. Be mindful that all remarks and shared content are live and part of the public record. If you happen to experience any technical issues, let our on-site tech know and notify Amy Larch via text. So thank you all for joining us. The first item of business we have on our agenda will be some introductions. I am Brett McMillian, the Director of the Division of Natural Resources, and starting to my far left is the newly appointed Colonel of the Division of Natural Resources Law Enforcement Section, Colonel Dave Trader. Congratulations on your promotion. Well earned, sir. To my immediate left, we have Assistant Attorney General Caleb Knight. I'd like the commissioners to please introduce themselves, starting with District 1. Districts, please unmute your microphones, and District 1, please introduce yourself.
Vince Cava, District 1.
Thank you, sir. District 2.
Jeff Bowers, District 2, Pendleton County.
Thank you. In District 3, we have our at-large commissioner sitting in.
Yes, LaFleur Barbara Lucas, at-large commissioner, but at District 3 for this meeting.
Thank you for traveling there. District 4.
Good evening. I'm Viv Salpazar from District 4. I'm honored to be here this evening.
Thank you. District 5.
James Bailey, here and through.
Perfect timing. And our District 6 commissioner, I do have a note to read from Janet Hamrick Hodge. She did ask that we read this, so please bear with me. Dear Director McMillian and fellow commissioners, it is with a heavy heart that I submit my resignation from the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources Commission, effective July 20, 2026. Serving on the commission has been one of the greatest honors of my life. The opportunity to help protect and preserve West Virginia's natural resources while representing the interests of our state's hunters, anglers, outdoor enthusiasts, and future generations is a responsibility I have never taken lightly. I have been grateful for the trust placed in me and for the privilege of serving alongside such dedicated individuals. Over the past year, I have privately been battling advanced cancer. My hope was to continue serving for as long as I could, but my health has now reached the point where I can no longer give the role the time and energy it deserves. While this is not a decision I ever wanted to make, I know it's the right one. Thank you for your friendship, support, and the opportunity to serve the people of West Virginia. I will always be grateful for the experience, for the chance to work alongside each of you. With sincere appreciation, Janet Hamrick Hodge. Commissioner Hodge, we certainly will miss you, and you have our prayers if you're watching right now. We do have a quorum, so we will be able to move forward. We have 5 sitting commissioners, and all are present. Next item on the agenda would have been introduction of legislators, and unless we've had any late arrivals, districts, let me know if so. We had none reported at the time. So we'll move right on to the approval of the minutes. Commissioners, you've each been provided the minutes in your packet from April 30, 2026. Do I hear a motion to approve? I see a motion from Commissioner Bowers.
District
Do I
2.
have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Bailey. Commissioners, are there any questions, discussion, or amendments to the minutes presented? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented from the April 30, 2026 meeting, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Minutes from April 30, 2026 meeting as presented are approved. Next, we'll take some time to receive public comments. I'll invite members of the public up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. The district office coordinators will serve as our timekeepers. They will notify you when 15 seconds remain and or when your time has expired. If your comments include any questions, my office will respond within 2 weeks or forward them to the appropriate party so that your question gets the attention it deserves. Please ensure that your contact information is legible in the sign-in sheet, please. So beginning with our District 1 coordinator, please unmute. And if you have any public members that would like to make comment, please introduce.
We have 4 members here in District 1. We're going to start with Randy Bland.
Yep. Go ahead and start. Thanks for letting me speak up. I not only speak for myself, but I work for taxidermy, and I hear a lot of sportsmen's attitudes and stuff. With a lot of friends with the DNR officers, and this here comes from them, and I'm telling you stuff that I agree on, not and disagree on, but it's what the sportsmen want. The regulations, so many of them, they want them simplified. If you got any questions on how, I've got several ways that we've looked into, me and other people have looked into, where we feel it counteracts each other and is hard to read, not only for us, but for the DNR officers also, has mentioned simplified. Second of all, bear season. We would like many of them to see baiting legalized, not no meat or nothing like that, but the reason is that bear hunters with dogs, it's legal, we agree on it, but they kill their first bear with dogs, they've got to get other people to come and kill bears. We know for a fact that some of the bear hunters has killed up to 20 bears because they call people and have them to come and kill the bears. It's legal. So I don't, and surely everybody knows that 60% of the other bears is killed over a deer feeder. So why not legalize baiting deer with bear with what you feed deer, not meat, but legalize baiting bear so that you're not taking the option of somebody getting caught because a bear came in. They're going to eat corn and they're doing it anyhow. So why not legalize it? The fact is, we're in the red. We're only charging $10 for a damage stamp, and it's well known we're way in the red over our damages. I see nobody that's argued over raising $10 for the damage stamp. That's another thing that we don't understand is you can't kill a bear without your big game license, and you can't kill a bear without your damage stamp. So why not put this together or raise that damage stamp, to where it compensates for such things as that. Another thing that everybody wants is, whether it can be changed or not, it's an idea they would rather not have, if there's a way that the government picks our commissioners. Because y'all work for the sportsmen, and the sportsmen have had wonderful commissioners in there. We agree on the term, but the term's up. Give the sportsmen a chance to vote on what they think is the guy that's doing the right thing for them. It's not political as much then and everything else, but we would like to see if there's a way that public and the sportsmen could pick and have a chance to vote, even if he does appoint him, but have us have a chance to vote and make a difference in what we want, because it's simple that you all work for us. And another thing is you guys make up these laws and regulations, and the DNR officers they don't do it, but they have to enforce them. So everybody feels for them. So I guess I got up without my 3 minutes. I've got other stuff, but if you guys have any questions on the simplifying, one thing on the simplifying is it says that a crossbow, it is illegal to have a crossbow with a draw weight less than 125 pounds, but down below it says it's illegal to have a locking device on a compound bow or recurve. You have a locking device on a one and not on the other. 30 seconds is up.
Got 3 minutes.
I'm done. Like I said, any questions? I've got my name and stuff. I've got plenty of stuff. If somebody wants to call me, I can explain other stuff to them also.
Thank you for those comments, and we'll be sure to get a response your way on some of those items. I will tell you, some of those items are code related, but we'll fight for some of your questions.
Next we have Zach Swagger.
Good evening, Director, Commissioners, and members of the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources. My name is Zach Swagger. I'm here on behalf of the coyote hunters of West Virginia. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Coyotes are one of the most adaptable predators in West Virginia. They don't stay out in open fields. They spend much of their time in our timber, where they hunt deer fawns, wild turkeys, rabbits, and other wildlife. If hunters are only allowed to target coyotes in open areas during closed small game season, we're not managing the population where they actually live and travel. Allowing responsible coyote hunting in the timber during closed small game season gives sportsmen another effective tool to help manage predator numbers and protect wildlife. Many landowners deal with coyotes that prey on livestock and pets, and hunters can provide a valuable service by helping control those populations in wooded areas where coyotes are most active. Hunting in the timber also provides a safe environment when done responsibly. Hunters know their targets, their surroundings, and all their firearm safety laws. Whether using a rifle, shotgun, or other legal equipment, ethical hunters understand that safety always comes first. This isn't about eliminating coyotes, it's about giving hunters the opportunity to responsibly manage a predator in the habitat where it spends most of its time. West Virginia hunters have a long history of conservation, and allowing coyote hunting in the timber is another practical step towards maintaining the healthy balance between predators, prey, and people who live and work on the land. I encourage you to support allowing coyote hunting in West Virginia in the timber year-round. It is a common sense approach that benefits wildlife, landowners, and the future of hunting in our state. Thanks.
Thank you for those comments.
Next we have Brian Moore.
Thank you, Director and Commissioners, for allowing me to speak. My name is Brian Moore. I'm here on behalf of predator hunters, West Virginia. I also second what Zach has said about hunting coyotes in the timber year round and not just during the opening of small game season. Doesn't turkey hunters hunt timber in the timber during the turkey season? Some of them do. Those that do have or will shoot a coyote. According to the regulations, that's against the law. In the months of April and May. Most of them, how crazy would it be for a turkey hunter to be given a ticket because they killed a coyote? It's a species in West Virginia that can be hunted 24/7, 365 days. The only difference is whether you're in the timber or field and what month it is. I'd also like to propose a bill that would allow nighttime hunting for bobcats. Person can trap them or hunt them during the day, but you can't hunt them at night. The bobcat population has grown enormous over the last few years, and we are spending money reintroducing certain bird species. Birds is the biggest of the bobcats die, which doesn't make much sense if the bobcat population is big. You might as well flush money down the drain. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next and finally is Sean Butler.
Good evening, everyone. I usually see you from District 3 and decided to pop in here this evening. First of all, I want to say, our thoughts and prayers are with Janet Hodges. She fights cancer. She was a great ambassador for West Virginia sportsmen. We appreciate it. Also want to congratulate Colonel Trader on his promotion. That was great to see. I want to talk about dove fields real quick. We come up from District 3, and we have some of the best dove fields at Stonewall Jackson Lake Wildlife Management Area. And that's thanks to Justin Phillips and his crew down there. And one of the things I'd love to see, since our grouse are gone, woodcock are so seasonal, is dove fields on more wildlife management areas. Stonewall Jackson had to go to a lottery now because so many people are going there to hunt. Last year on the field we were hunting as a family that we have hunted for 3 or 4 years in a row now, there were over probably 60 hunters on one field. Okay, a former commissioner had his vehicle shot at that field. Then I travel around the state and I see management areas like Wallback, Burnsville Lake, Sutton, areas that do have fields that we are co-oping off to farmers, which I understand farmers have to have hay. But especially a management area such as Wallback is paid for by the sportsman's dollars, probably should be put back into something for the sportsman. Let's build some more dove fields. And I appreciate that I saw on the agenda that we're gonna be talking, somebody's gonna be doing a dove presentation this evening. But you know, we could pay for that with the West Virginia bird hunting stamp. I know that's a legislative deal, and hey, we'd be willing to back that and help out. I'm sure bird hunters everywhere in the state would, you know, pay $10 to $15 for that stamp and put it into habitat or into dove fields just to help out, spread the wealth. Dove hunting's become a big sport in the last 10 years. It's the rise of it has come with duck hunting. People are doing that to improve their sight picture, so to say. And so, and if you can shoot a box of shells and bring a couple of doves home, you're doing pretty good. So that's about all I have. I just wanted to say let's work on these dove fields. We got so many wildlife management areas that have fields that are just sitting there fallow. Let's do something with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And did I hear District 1 correctly? That is all your public comments?
That's correct. That's all our public.
D2, have you received any late arrivals? Any public comment for District 2?
No, sir, nothing from District 2.
And for District 3, I believe you have a couple.
Yes, District 3 has two public comments. The first will be Dr. Jim Frum. Oh gosh, I get up here. You give me a couple extra minutes.
I know, yeah, I know. I'm old. I'm Jim Crum. I'm a retired DNR wildlife biologist, and I try to add a few comments at every commission meeting since I've retired, and I'm sad to hear about Commissioner Hodge has some personal experience with that particular disease, which is not good. So I recognize that I'll get on to what I'm going to talk, because $20 wouldn't buy me an extra 3 minutes back here. So anyway, I'll admit to trying to bribe the officer. Anyway, so I know commissioners don't have direct authority to help regulate captive cervids in this state, but I do request through their advisory responsibilities to support the director in regulations regarding CWD and the management actions that the DNR has proposed to help stem CWD. And I'd have to be remiss if I don't talk about the USDA and the West Virginia Department of Agriculture promoting and supporting captive cervids and associated movement of live cervids for commercial purposes. And this movement of live animals is well documented to have spread the disease nationally and internationally. Currently, new promotions and support activities by these agencies have the potential to create privately owned incubators for new CWD strains and through genetic manipulation of captive deer. And on another note, I know that West Virginia's wildlife agencies have led in many aspects of wildlife management, especially in regards to white-tailed deer. And this grass is greener on the other side, and adopting regulations and programs from surrounding states, I think is partially a culture aspect of West Virginia. I was born, raised and grew up in West Virginia, and I know that we've always had somewhat of a lack of confidence in our state to be forefront of a lot of things. And so I would highly suggest that the commission, where it's possible, before you adopt a program or promote a program or regs from or surrounding states, that you actually consider the where and how those regs and programs arose in the surrounding states. So without that, especially when it comes to disease aspects, we've led the nation in the EHD research. We were, other than New York, we were the first state in this part of the eastern United States and mid-Atlantic to find CWD, although I'm sure it was elsewhere. And I hate to think that we don't listen to the current wildlife biologists that are suggesting and promoting programs and regulations to curb these things. And without that, I'm through. So thank you. You need extra money?
Thank you, Dr. Crum.
Next will be Howard Underwood.
How are you?
Yes, sir. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Howard Underwood. I'm with the Tide Valley Muzzleloader Association. And we're very grateful to have the Mountaineer Heritage Season that was instituted a few years ago. But we take the most primitive weapons known to man and we hunt in the most difficult time of the year. We're wondering if any way you would consider moving that season to late October, early November, sometime pre-rut before. But January comes around, a lot of bucks have lost their horns. Bears close to impossible to get. So just thank you for allowing me to speak, and that's all we have.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Okay, District 4, did you have any late arrivals for public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Here in District 5, we do have one. Mr. Don Ratcliffe, would you take the stand?
Commissioners, Director, of course, I'm Don Ratcliffe. I too was very saddened to hear of Janet Hodges' battle with cancer, and I thank her for her years of service. And I've already congratulated Colonel Trader on his promotion. That was a good fit there. What I want to talk about tonight, first off, the gentleman that asked for the baiting of bears. Of course, you know, my position has always been, you know, a fed bear is a dead bear. That goes without saying. The problem we have with mange, we had a presentation earlier this year. The wildlife biologist basically said primary method of transmission is, you know, close contact. And where the bears are solitary animals, except when they come into bait sites and during mating season, of course. But other than that, they're a solitary animal. But when you throw baiting into the mix, then they come together. I had talked to Colin Carpenter, our bear biologist, a few months ago about getting a system to where people could report mangy bear sightings, and they were working on that. But as of, and as of yet, I haven't heard anything more about it. I haven't seen any DNR press releases. So I'd like to know where that's at, you know, at what point that's in. My other comments are directed at Governor Morrissey once again. We've got 2 vacant commissioners positions now. We've changed this format to where you don't have to travel halfway across the state to attend a commissioners meeting. Surely Governor Morrissey could walk a block over here to a commissioners meeting. He's never been to a commissioners meeting, and I know because I'm at all of them. He needs to come and see what being a commissioner entails. He obviously doesn't know what it is to be a commissioner. So we need to educate Governor Morrissey on what it is to be a DNR game commissioner and what the purpose of this commission is. Somebody could get him word. He needs to attend a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And regarding your first comment, stay tuned. I think you'll see something later on in our presentation.
Great.
District 6, any late arrivals for public comment?
No, sir. District 6 has no public speakers.
All right, very good. That'll conclude the public comment section. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, which will give our commissioners the opportunity to review and approve by vote our 27-28 small game and fur bearer and trapping regulations. With that, I'd like to invite Steve Rao, Assistant Chief of Game Management for the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources, to present the proposed small game and fur bearer trapping regulations for the 27-28 season.
Director of Commissioners, I will refer you to the handout in your packet, recommendations for the 2027-2028 small game and fur bearer hunting and trapping regulations. And we will be taking action at this meeting by vote on these 2 items. Item number 1, the Division of Natural Resources proposes that the river otter bag limit be increased to 2 per day and the possession limit to be increased to 2 per season, beginning for the 2027-2028 season.
And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion or amendments?
My only discussion would be that I think it's great to move this up.
Anything else? All in favor of approving the increasing the 2 per day and the possession limit to be increased by 2 per season, beginning for the 27-28 season, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Steve?
And item number 2, the Division of Natural Resources proposes that all other small game and fur bearer hunting and trapping regulations for the 2027-2028 seasons be open as shown on the attached table, which is page 3 of this handout.
There a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Mr. Myers makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion or amendments to the proposed table? Hearing none, all in favor of passing the motion to approve the attached table, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Thank you, Steve. Next item on our agenda, we'll be looking at the review and approval of the 2027 fishing regulations. I'd like to welcome Corey Hartman from District 4. He's our fisheries biologist. Present.
All right, so the first item we have is the Division of Natural Resources proposes establishing a Class Q designation on the Fayette County Park ponds.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the Fayette County Park Pond. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Bauer seconds. Is there any discussion or any amendments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the Fayette County Pond as noted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Corey?
All right, the second item is the Division of Natural Resources proposes changing the black bass slot limit on the Greenbrier River to include only smallmouth bass. The current slot limit requires all black bass, smallmouth, spotted, and largemouth from 16 to 20 inches long to be returned to the water at once on a 6-mile section beginning at the US Route 60 bridge near Caldwell, extending downstream to the US Route 219 bridge in Ronsford. A daily creel limit of 6 smallmouth bass with only one dean over 20 inches will be permitted. Smallmouth, largemouth bass, and spotted bass will be excluded from this regulation and will be under the general statewide daily creel limit of 6 fish per day with no size limit.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion to approve changing the black bass slot limit on the Greenbrier River to include only smallmouth bass as presented?
Move to approve.
Commissioner Bowers moves to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Alpizar. A motion has been made and seconded in favor of approving changing the black bass slot limit on the Greenbrier River to include only smallmouth bass as presented. Are there any discussion or amendments to this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion carried. Corey?
Third item is the Division of Natural Resources proposes changing the black bass slot limit on the New River to include only smallmouth bass. The current slot limit requires all black bass, smallmouth, spotted, and largemouth from 14 to 22 inches long to be returned to the water at once from a confluence of the New and the Gauley Rivers upstream to the West Virginia state line, excluding Bluestone Lake, and the 12-mile catch and release section from the National Park Service Grandview Sandbar access site upstream to the I-64 bridge at Sandstone. Daily creel limit of 6 smallmouth bass with only one being over 22 inches will be permitted. Largemouth bass and spotted bass will be excluded from this regulation, will be under the general statewide regulation limit of 6 per day with no size limit.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion to approve changing the black bass slot limit on the New River to include only smallmouth bass as presented?
Move to approve.
Commissioner Bowers moves to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Bailey seconds. Motion has been made and seconded in favor of approving changing the black bass slot limit on the New River to include only smallmouth bass as presented. Are there any discussion or amendments? Commissioner Alpizar?
I have one question. Have you detected any of the Alabama bass in the state?
Yes, our fall 2024 survey on Bluestone River did detect Alabama bass alleles in the population.
Any further discussion or amendments? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Corey?
All right, the Division of Natural Resources proposes changing the current black bass catch and release regulation on the 12-mile section of the New River extending from the National Park Service Grandview Sandbar access site near Quinamont upstream to the I-64 bridge at Sandstone to include only smallmouth bass. Largemouth bass and spotted bass will be excluded from this regulation and will be under the general latewide daily creel limit of 6 fish per day with no size limit.
Commissioners, do a motion to approve changing the current black bass catch and release regulation on the 12-mile section of the New River extending from the National Park Service Grandview Sandbar access site near Quinamont upstream I-64 bridge at Sandstone to include only smallmouth bass as presented.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Bowers moves to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Alpizar. Motion has been made and seconded in favor of approving changing this particular regulation, as noted earlier. Are there any discussions or amendments?
I have a question, purely out of curiosity. What is it that about the Alabama bass that makes it invasive? You know, what's the?
So the Alabama bass is not native to the area. The other problem with them is, you know, smallmouth bass are very regulationally important to the area. You know, the New River is known for quality size and trophy size smallmouth bass. And the problem with the Alabama bass is they are very aggressive spawners, and they will actually spawn with the smallmouth bass in the system, which for the first generation, like any hybrid, it's going to do really well. But once it starts being established, they do too well and will over reproduce, and you'll wind up with a stunted population of like 12-inch fish and just gobs of them. And it's detrimental to have that many individuals in the stream, and you lose the genetic purity of the smallmouth bass that are currently there.
Sounds like almost the similar problems are candy darter.
Yep.
Any further discussion or amendments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion made and seconded in favor of approving changing the current black bass catch and release regulation on the 12-mile section of the New River described earlier, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Right, the Division of Natural Resources proposes that all other fishing regulations for 2027 remain the same as in 2026.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion to approve all other fishing regulations for 2027 remaining the same as 2026 as presented?
So moved.
Commissioner Bailey moves. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Bowers chime in first. A motion has been made and seconded in favor of approving all other fishing regulations remaining the same in 2027 as in 2026. Is there any discussion or any amendments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Corey. Great work in your district, by the way.
Commissioners.
Next item on our agenda, we'll look at approving by vote to clarify the legal use of a single shot muzzleloader shotgun for wild turkey during Mountaineer Heritage Season in Logan, McDowell, Mingo, and Wyoming County. I would like to welcome Steve Rao back to the stand to explain this correction for us.
Yes, I will, Commissioner will refer you to the page modified recommendation for the 2026-2027 big game hunting regulations. This is to clarify a weapon that would be legal for turkeys in the southern four counties. On April 30th, 2026, the Natural Resource Commission approved that a percussion sidelock rifle or pistol, flintlock rifle or pistol be legal for hunting bear and wild turkey in Logan, McDowell, Mingo, and Wyoming counties during the Mountaineer Heritage Season. Deer may be only hunted with long and reef curve bows during this season in those counties. The modification for recommendation for approval is modify the approved proposal to clarify that single shot sidelock muzzleloader shotguns with iron sights are legal for wild turkey during the Mountaineer Heritage Season in Logan, McDowell, Mingo, and Wyoming counties. That weapon is currently legal in the other 51 counties. This is to clarify that it will be legal in those southern four counties.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion to approve modifying the approved proposal from the April 30, 2026 Natural Resource Commission meeting to clarify that single shot sidelock muzzleloader shotguns with iron sights are legal for wild turkey during the Mountaineer Heritage Season in Logan, McDowell, Mingo, and Wyoming counties.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bowers. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Alpizar. Is there any discussion or amendments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the modification as noted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ralph. Okay, now we get to move on to item number 7, which is our upland game bird and dove presentation. I'd like to welcome Holly Morris, wildlife biologist for the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources, to provide our presentation.
Well, thank you guys for the opportunity this evening, to give you guys a little presentation on game bird habitat management that the DNR conducts here in West Virginia. So overall, I just wanted to touch on the importance of habitat. With the DNR, we have a variety of different tasks at hand, including conducting research, monitoring populations and their health, setting hunting and trapping seasons and bag limits. But also we conduct habitat management. Without appropriate habitat, some species may be in small populations or not even exist in certain areas. And in addition, we conduct habitat management to provide hunting opportunities. For the purpose of the presentation this evening, we're going to be focusing on a few different species. Those include wild turkey, ruffed grouse, mourning dove, ringneck pheasant, and bobwhite quail. All right. When we conduct habitat management, we focus on a few different things. Overall, our goal is to provide or enhance habitat that supports critical life requisites for these birds that I mentioned. Those include things like nesting cover, brood range, adult foraging cover, and also considering the juxtaposition of all these habitat components. As you see in the picture, we've got a ruffed grouse, and also we've got some ruffed grouse chicks. So as you can see, there's a big size difference in those two birds, from the young ones to the adults. They're gonna have different requirements of habitat needs that they would have. So trying to keep in mind differences like that when we conduct management. And also, whenever we conduct management, we tend to focus on two different areas, fields and also forests. So here's kind of an overview of what we're going to be talking about. This is a drone photo from over at Hillcrest Wildlife Management Area. And as you can see in the photo, we've got an arrangement of different habitat types. We've got a variety of different fields, forest plots, and the arrangement of all those that come together, all that together forms a puzzle piece and provides great habitat for upland game birds. So the first segment we'll talk about is field management. In this photo, this is a clover field at Stonewall Jackson, WMA. And when we conduct field management, we have a few main objectives. Some of those include creating brushy areas for escape and nesting cover. Also providing brood range, so places for things like turkey poults to go to find an abundance of insects that they require. Also providing unique supplemental food sources, so things like corn and sunflowers that normally wouldn't be on the landscape for wildlife. And also providing some bare ground for dusting areas and places for birds to collect grit. When we do field management, there's a lot of different techniques that we can employ. This is just a list of all the different things that we typically do. We'll cover a few of those today. We've got herbicide, food plot management, mowing, establishing new fields, mulching, prescribed burning, disking, and spreading, fertilizing, lime. And the first one we'll talk about is herbicide application. So in this photo, this is actually down at Camp Creek State Forest. And this particular photo, the specialist on the tractor, he's preparing the field to be planted. So many times before we plant fields, we'll go out and kill the vegetation that's on site. That way we have the best growth results for whatever we're trying to plant. Also, in addition with that, we'll spray fields and perhaps let them come back with native vegetation or select certain species of shrubs or things of that nature that are encroaching in the field. So we also do that to kill the undesirable things like invasives. With food plot management, we have a lot of specialized tools. As you can see in this photo, we've got a picture here of a corn drill. So depending on the goal and the task at hand, we've got a lot of specialized tools that help us accomplish our goals. And this picture, I'm sure a lot of you folks recognize, it's just cornrows, but provides an excellent direct food source for wildlife. As I mentioned earlier, corn is typically not grown on the landscape in West Virginia. So on the wildlife management area, it provides a great late winter food source for wildlife. However, even after that corn's gone, fallow fields of corn, sometimes folks think that whatever we planted, man, we should mow that down and move on and plant something else. But if you look closely, you can see that you've got some herbaceous vegetation growing underneath that corn stalks. And that's a great place for folks to get food and other turkeys. It provides a overstory cover that way to protect that from predation. So even if it's a fallow area, it does provide a food source. Here's an example of a pollinator plot in South Branch WMA. This was planted specifically to provide things for pollinator species, but in addition, it provides great wildlife habitat benefits. Somewhere like this, aside from direct forage, it also provides a great place for insects, which in turn provides great places for turkeys. This photo is of a crimson clover field at Stonewall Jackson, WMA. Just another example of a different type of planting that we commonly use. Provides a great direct food source, especially for other species that aren't deer or aren't turkeys. If you think of things like deer, and also, another great place to forage if you're a turkey. Here's an example of a sunflower plot at Hillcrest, WMA. These aren't so common across the state, but typically when we do plant them, the intention's for mourning doves. So these plots provide excellent hunting areas for those folks that are looking to pursue doves. And then here's a photo at Hillcrest, also of some buckwheat. With this, the seeds that do form, it's relatively quick producing forage for wildlife. Those seeds are great for a variety of different birds, and also things like deer love to munch on them. And here's a field that to most folks think is fallow. We've let it go to the wayside. Nothing's going on here, but this is a native vegetation field at Nathaniel Mountain. Even though it's not being tilled up and planted with corn or something of that nature, it still provides great benefits for wildlife. Not everything needs to be, cornrows or clover. Things like this provide a variety of different things for ground nesting birds that we definitely need to continue doing on the landscape. And lastly, with food plots, this is a sorghum plot on Tomlin, WMA. The intention here was a food plot for upland birds, but as you can see, some elk enjoyed that plot also grazing on it. So even though we might plant something such as sunflowers or corn or whatever it may be for a specific animal in mind, there's still a variety of different species that reap benefits from these too. So we'll move on from food plots. This is just kind of giving an overview of why we apply things like herbicide, use things like mulchers, maybe strip mow, and also prescribed burn. Essentially, the goal at hand is to create areas where it's herbaceous cover. We're trying to prevent things from becoming woody areas, turning into forested habitat. We may use these on different types of rotations, but typically, 2 to 3 years, but it's essentially trying to prevent that area to become a woody encroachment. Also, these techniques are employed to remove non-native invasive species. So some of those things might be autumn olive, some of the things like that that you may see in the field that we don't necessarily want to promote. And aside from cover, nesting cover, things of that nature, these areas also provide great places for an abundance of insects, which turkeys rely on. So here's an example of some strip mowing down at Tomlin, WMA. Some places, depending on how advanced the field is with woody encroachment, we may mow it completely off. Other places we may strip mow to provide hunters access and to still leave some thermal cover for wildlife through the winter. So just depending on the types of needs for that field, kind of dictates how in depth or intense we mow it. And of course, some places we don't have many fields, so there's always a need to be creating new fields on some of these WMAs. In these photos we've got on the left is Calvin Price State Forest, a new clearing that was developed. And on the right is Shenandoah Wildlife Management Area. So both of those are just new fields. And sometimes, like I said, depending on management objectives, we may let those be native vegetation for a few years, or it might be something that we directly plant something like crimson clover and wheat in. All right, this next piece here is about mulching. So sometimes we do have fields that are a little bit more advanced than what we want. To get the best kill, rather than trying to go out and apply herbicide, we'll employ the use of a mechanical mulcher. And it's essentially resetting that landscape back to almost bare dirt. And depending on our goals, we may let it naturally regenerate, or we may plant warm season grasses or some other type of food plot. And here's an area on the national forest that was mulched. In this scenario, there was some vegetation, some trees that were left behind. So I imagine in this picture, there are things like crabapple or other species that are typically found that would promote wildlife. So think of your old home places, maybe that have grown up. We'll go in there and mulch, reset that, but then leave other species that are important to wildlife, soft mass producing species. This next photo is down at Bluestone Lake, WMA. It's an area that we had prescribed burned on. It was a field that had some woody encroachment in it. As you can see, there's some trees. But after the burn, it was intense enough, it definitely killed those trees. So burning sometimes is more appropriate than mowing. One thing, you don't have any thatch left on the ground. So a lot of that, if it was somewhere you were wanting to plant, you don't have to deal with that. Also, when it comes to time, this is much faster than mowing many, many acres of fields. So it just depends on your outcome, but it's definitely a great tool at killing woody species. Here's another area we have conducted prescribed burns on. This is at Tomlin. And as you can see on the left is before the burn, and on the right's after the burn. Somewhere like this, trying to mow is just not practical. Burning is the only way that you're going to control the unwanted vegetation that's moving in. So things like autumn olive, other unwanted invasive species. But this is the best way to reset those areas and continue to promote the grassy, herbaceous vegetation there. Now, the next section we're going to cover is forest management. So with that, pretty much our main objectives revolve around a few different things. Promoting young forest. That's something on the landscape. If you're not working towards it, it's going to grow up and get away from you. Creating that herbaceous understory for birds, and also promoting hard mass species. And with that, we have a variety of different techniques depending on our objectives. Just like with fields, we've got, herbicide use, so chemical thinning, also prescribed burning. Depending on the area, timber sales, mulching, field and forest border cuts, or planting specialty shrubs and trees. So in the photo here is a timber sale at Meadow River, WMA. In this picture, we've got an example of some chemical thinning work that was conducted at Burnsville, WMA. Basically, the objective when you do that, there's a few different ways you can do it. A lot of times is with a hatchet and a squirt bottle of herbicide. Basically, your goal is to reduce the understory vegetation to where it's all herbaceous and eliminate woody competition. So your mid-story trees, maybe some undesirable species that aren't necessarily good for wildlife. It's trying to eliminate those and lower your basal area to let light through to the forest floor. This photo is from some work that we conducted up at Erie Mountain Wildlife Management Area. Here we did a combination of chemical thinning and then prescribed burning after we applied herbicide. The goal is essentially the same as just using chemical thinning, but it works a little bit better. We're trying to regenerate things on the forest floor, provide food sources for things like rough grouse chicks, turkey poults. And here in the next photo, we've got a couple here. The left and the right are both after we conducted the herbicide and burning treatment. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but if you try to look closely, the understory there, you can see it's some green herbaceous vegetation. It's not woody tree competition that's coming back. You've got some differences there with the sunlight poking through, and you can see some dead trees that do not have any leaves. So this was just a couple weeks ago. I would say we accomplished our goal there, but you've got to keep at it or things will continue to grow and you'll have to do it all again. So definitely with herbicide and burning, it's something that you have to continually keep up with. Here's an area at Daniels Ridge Wildlife Management Area where on the left has had no treatment. On the right is an area that we did apply herbicide and burned. So the left, you can see the understory is very thick. You can't see very far. A lot of it's white pine. Not much herbaceous understory at all. What's there is mostly woody. On the right-hand side, you can see that there's a lot of green vegetation. You can see much further and it's difficult to see, but a lot of those trees in the overstory are dead. So it's letting sunlight penetrate to the forest floor. In this section, we've got an area on Burnsville, WMA. It's a timber sale unit. Basically, right after it was harvested, well, after it was burned and then 2 years later. So there we've got much less woody understory on the right-hand side. Again, just the same results that we're looking for. Let sunlight to the forest floor and promote that vegetation that provides forage for deer and bugging areas for turkeys and grouse. And as I mentioned earlier about mulching in fields, we also employ those same techniques in forested settings. Basically, it's the same goal. You're just trying to reduce that basal area in the forest. So eliminate competition amongst the trees, select trees that you do want to keep and mulch up what you don't. And lastly, we've got an example of a field border cut. Sometimes we employ things like the mulcher. Other times, probably the majority of the time is with the chainsaw. So you go in basically cutting trees to provide cover, but also selectively leaving certain trees that may be mass producing. Something special about those might be roost trees, harder soft mass that's good for wildlife and just creating that brushy edge. Overall, most wildlife species don't like that hard edge of large overstory trees directly to a field. And in this example, this was at Cooper's Rock State Forest. So that's the end of this presentation. I'll take questions, but if you guys have site-specific questions on why was certain treatment conducted on a WMA, I would encourage you to reach out to the district game biologist for those districts. But with that, I'll take any questions folks might have.
Thank you, Holly. Districts, please unmute. Commissioners, any questions or comment for our presenter? District 1.
Hi, Holly. Vince Cava, in District 1. I'm a bird hunter. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I've raised bird dogs and I've hunted all over. I was a little bit surprised to hear that you guys use herbicide in your plan. I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on that and see what kind of long-term issues that you may have considered, or any other options besides using the herbicide to clear the land.
Sure, it really just depends on the goals. Certain areas, we may employ it, other areas. Sometimes we do plantings that we don't use herbicide. We'll use things like prescribed burning, burn somewhere and then directly plant after that. Also, we use herbicide to control non-native invasive species. So it's just a tool in the toolbox. It's not always used, but it's something that's there for us and it's very effective.
District 2.
Yeah, your prescribed burning, what time of year do you try to do that?
It depends on some of it with the weather. Typically it's in the winter, early spring. Sometimes, depending on the guidelines, we can try to get it done in mid-time of fall. But with prescribed burning, it's very weather dependent. You've got to have certain weather conditions just right, or you can't get it done.
We just noticed the National Forest quite often in our area will let it overlap to when turkeys are already on the nest. They seem to do it late spring sometimes.
That does happen sometimes. I would just encourage folks to keep in mind that most of the time when we do prescribed burns, it's small areas. Our burns are not rapid and out of control, so you can easily walk away from them. So if a turkey was there, they can move. And like I said, typically, our burns are very localized. We're not burning thousands of acres at a time. So if there is nest disturbance from ground nesting birds, at that time of year, it's early enough they can re-nest.
We also have a comment from District 5.
Yeah, just a comment, not a question. You talked about the timber sales, and I would just encourage you to increase that and do it as much as reasonably, responsibly possible. I've never thought we did it enough, because not only is it great for wildlife, but it's incredibly effective to help control the forest fires, and there's a monetary return that can be invested back into the so I know there's real reasons why, resource-wise, why it's difficult to do sometimes, but it's worth trying.
Any other comments or questions, commissioners? Seeing none, Holly, again, thank you. Great presentation. Your team, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda, I'd like to invite Steve Rao back to the stand to give us an update on the wildlife disease reporting system.
Thank you, Director. Last year, after the HD outbreak that we've seen over, especially in District 6, there was discussions about coming up with a online app of being able to report wildlife diseased animals, sick animals. It's important to know that, population-wise, diseased animals are rather few overall. So we developed a wildlife disease and mortality online reporting tool. The news release just went out yesterday for this, and it is a ArcGIS Survey 123 program, and be able to from cell phones be able to download that and log in, and it just offers another opportunity for public to be able to report any sick acting animal that might come across. This information that will be collected will allow the appropriate wildlife resources section staff to determine if additional investigation is needed with that particular report. And also it will provide a unique opportunity for just maybe some unique observations that occur within the app. There's a whole list of species maybe some of the less observed. Just provide that opportunity to report that. It's important to know that this is not intended to take the place of and encourage the public to reach out to our district offices during, if they see something during office hours to be able to report. We do not want this to take that place. Being able to talk with people is very, very important to be able to gain additional information. Like I said, the news release went out yesterday. It will be on our website and social media. There is a QR code that's associated with it, so you can either click the link to download it or utilize the QR code to download this survey 123 and be able to report. Like I said, when there's HD outbreaks, mange, bears, we'll be able to report that. It will take a location where that's at, time, and all that kind of information that will be important to be able to utilize by our appropriate staff.
Thank you, Steve. Districts, please unmute. Commissioners, any comment or question of our presenter? District 2.
I just want to thank you for doing that because I think that will be very beneficial, whether it be the mange and the bear or anything with our deer and wildlife. Although people were reporting, a lot of people just didn't know the best way to report. So that's a good move.
Thank you. Any further comment or question? Thanks again, Steve, and I certainly concur with Commissioner Bowers' comments. I'm very pleased with our current status. Good job to you and your team. Next item on our agenda, we'll discuss the 2026 fourth quarterly meeting coming up. Commissioners, while we're still muted, if any of you have any items you'd like to see included or thoughts for the next meeting, now's your opportunity to speak. I see District 5 has something.
Yes, two things. First, I'd be interested in hearing some, feedback or response to the suggestions during public comment about the coyote and bobcat control regulations. Thought the same thing. Everything made sense to me that they said. So I'd just be interested in hearing the other side of that. I haven't had a lot of run-ins with coyotes, but the places I hunt are overrun. I haven't had a lot of interactions with bobcats, but where I do hunt are overrun with coyotes. And I think I'd be shocked if it hasn't had a significant impact, especially for turkey population. But the second thing, I'm not sure we, need a presentation on it, but I think we have to address. I want to commend and thank the DNR law enforcement for everything they did during the devastating flooding recently. It was reported they saved 85 lives, and I was so happy to see it reported because I've always thought what they do during disasters, swift water rescue, is always gone underappreciated. So they did what they always do, which is step in and save lives. And it's just amazing what they do and what they did.
Thank you, and I certainly concur with that. Any other commissioner comments about our next agenda? Commissioner Bowers.
I appreciate, Director, your comments earlier about some things being set by code. I think that's good to keep the public informed as we address topics, what falls within our preview and what does not set the code.
Great point. Thank you for that. Okay, if there's no further comments, our next public meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November the 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We'll hold these meetings again at our DNR district offices in Farmington, Romney, Beckley, and Parkersburg, as well as the Elkins Operations Center and here in the Charleston headquarters. We encourage our guests to attend and comment in person at any of these sites or watch via the department's YouTube live streams. Written comments are also accepted and appreciated at WVNR Commission at WV.gov. Before we do actually adjourn, I'd like to also announce that we have a charity softball game coming up Saturday, the Northwoods Throwdown. Last year, our DNR Natural Resource Police Officer Association traveled to Maine and had a game and actually won the game last year. So this year, the Maine game warden for coming to West Virginia. So we'll hope our folks can hold their title, but that'll be Saturday at 6 p.m. I believe gates open at 3 at Power Park. So come out and support. The funds go to a superb cause. Also, I'd like to note that National Hunting and Fishing Days is coming up in September on the 19th at Stonewall. So please mark your calendars and attend that event. Our folks put on a heck of a show. I must say, I'm impressed with each section of the DNR and the work that they do. So having said that, district offices, please unmute your microphones. Commissioners, do I hear a motion to adjourn? I hear a motion a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning the third quarterly meeting of the 2026 Natural Resources Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Thank you all. Have a great night. Commissioners, thank you again for your attendance.